You're listening to The Simplified CEO, the podcast that shows you business does not have to be complicated. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's show you how you can get success in every area of your life the simpler way. Just before we jump into today's episode, I have to give today's sponsor a shout out. Now, you know, here on Simplified CEO, we are all about the simple life in business. And I know one of the main areas every entrepreneur wishes was simpler was the bookkeeping. Well, it can be with today's sponsor, Xero. This is an accounting software I have used for years, and honestly, it's made it so easy for me to keep a track of everything. It automates manual tasks, meaning I'm not losing hours to admin, and it can be done from anywhere using their fantastic mobile app. So if you're looking for a simpler way to keep on top of your bookkeeping, go and check out Xero today using the link in the show notes below for a special offer. Now let's get back to today's episode. Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Simplified CEO. I'm your host, Claire Bartlett, and today we are talking about something that might make you a bit uncomfortable. The things you need to stop doing in your business if you actually want to be happy. Now, I see you over there with your color-coded spreadsheet and your perfectly organized Asana workspace, thinking, but I love what I do. And I believe you, but loving what you do and actually being happy whilst doing it, well, those are two very different things. The truth is, most successful five-figure business owners I work with have accidentally built themselves a beautiful prison. They've created businesses that look incredible on Instagram. They generate, a decent revenue and they impress their friends at dinner parties. But they're also working 50-hour weeks, checking emails during family time and lying awake at 2 a.m. wondering if they're pricing themselves correctly. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. The irony is that the very things you think are making you successful, the hustle, the saying yes to everything, the being everywhere at once, are actually the things keeping you from the freedom and fulfillment that you started your business to achieve. So, today I am sharing 5 specific things that you need to give up if you want to scale to 6 figures whilst actually having a life that you enjoy living. And fair warning, some of these might sting a bit, but I promise you, on the other side of letting go of these habits is the business that you actually dreamed of when you first started. The first thing that you need to give up is trying to be everything to everyone whilst attempting to conquer every platform simultaneously. These two problems are actually the same beast wearing different masks. Let me tell you about Sarah, who was a client. She's a brilliant business owner I worked with last year. She was a brand designer who also offered web design, copywriting, social media management, and photography. When I asked her to describe her ideal client, she said, well, anyone who needs design work. I mean, her website read like a jack of all trades directory. But here's where it gets interesting, because not only was she trying to serve everyone, she was also trying to reach everyone everywhere. Instagram posts 3 times a day, TikTok videos during lunch breaks, LinkedIn networking before the kids woke up, Facebook groups in the evening. She was posting on every platform because that's where my audience might be. She was making like £4,000 a month, but she was working 60-hour weeks and felt like she was drowning. And this reminds me of what happened to Beyoncé with her fashion line, House of Deréon. Instead of focusing on just one clear brand message and market, she tried to be everything. She wanted to be haute couture and streetwear, accessible fashion and luxury pieces. So instead of dominating one market before expanding, she tried to launch everywhere. And the line launched in 2006 and it was gone within a few years, which is saying something, right? This is Beyonce. Even Queen Bey herself couldn't make a scattered approach work. Because here's the truth that no one is saying loud enough. When you try to serve everyone, you serve no one particularly well. And when you try to be everywhere, you become mediocre across all the platforms instead of brilliant on one. When Sarah finally niched down to just brand design for female coaches and chose LinkedIn as her primary platform, something magical happened. Her prices went from $500 per project to £2,500. Her client inquiries became more qualified. She stopped having to justify her expertise because she was speaking directly to people who desperately needed exactly what she offered and understood the value that it would bring. She went from posting 5 times a day across multiple platforms to creating one brilliant LinkedIn post 3 times a week. Her engagement tripled, her inquiries doubled, and she got 15 hours of her life back each week. The fear of missing out is real, but here's what you're actually missing out on when you try to please everyone and be everywhere. The clients who will pay your premium prices because you're their perfect fit for their specific problem, speaking to them in their preferred space. So choose your lane and own it. Choose your platform and master it. And then, and only then, consider expanding. Okay, the second thing that you must give up if you want business happiness is underpricing yourself. And before you tell me, oh, but my market can't afford higher prices, let me challenge that. Because underpricing isn't just about money, it's about resentment. When you're charging £50 for something that takes you 5 hours, you're not just undervaluing your time, but you're building resentment towards your clients and your business. How many times have you heard an entrepreneur say, oh, I'm working more hours and I'm taking home way less than I ever did in employment? Yeah, we've all heard it, or maybe even said it ourselves. And this is the exact reason for it. In employment, your hourly figure is agreed and non negotiable. You work this many hours and you get paid this. So, why do you not give yourself the same contract in your business? I worked with a copywriter who was charging £200 for a sales page, and they were taking her like 12 hours to write. She was absolutely brilliant at what she did, but she was bitter. She resented every revision request, every client call, and every project. And she was working with clients who didn't value her expertise because her prices attracted people who wanted cheap, not good. When we calculated her true hourly rate, including all of that scope creep and all of the revisions, she was earning way less than minimum wage. So no wonder she was miserable. Here's what happens when you underprice. You attract clients who don't value your expertise. You work with people who question every recommendation. You say yes to projects that you don't enjoy because you need the volume. You work longer hours to make the same money you could make in fewer hours at higher prices. And when she raised her prices to £1,200 per sales page, something shifted. The clients who inquired were serious about their business. They trusted her expertise and they implemented her recommendations. So she went from writing 10 sales pages a month for £2,000 to writing 3 sales pages a month for £3,600. But more money, fewer clients, better results, and a happier business owner. Your prices should reflect your expertise, not your insecurities. So if you've been in business for more than a year and haven't raised your prices, you're likely undercharging. And remember, cheap clients are expensive clients because they take more time, they cause more stress, and deliver worse results. Premium clients who pay premium prices are often the easiest to work with because they value your expertise. Okay, the third thing destroying your business happiness is having no boundaries while simultaneously trying to do everything yourself. These two problems sort of feed off each other like a toxic relationship. I'm talking about when you're saying yes to every opportunity, every networking event, every quick call or small favor. I'm talking about being available on WhatsApp until 10 p.m., answering emails on a Saturday morning, and taking on projects that aren't quite right because it's still money. But here's where it gets worse. You're then also doing all of your own graphics, you're managing your own social media, you're handling your own bookkeeping, writing your own copy, and probably trying to learn TikTok editing at like 11 p.m. because no one else can do it as well as you can. Well, let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in a day to day. It's checking your phone first thing in the morning and last thing at night. It's saying, oh, I'll just quickly finish this, but then looking up 3 hours later, wondering where your evening went. It's feeling guilty when you're not working and anxious when you are. And it's spending your £100 per hour time doing £10 per hour tasks because you're convinced you can't afford help. And you know what's fascinating? Even Martha Stewart, someone who built a £1 billion empire, learned this lesson, but she had to learn it the hard way. When she was convicted in 2004 and had to serve 5 months in prison, followed by 5 months of house arrest, it forced boundaries upon her that she'd never impose on herself. She was only allowed to leave her property for 48 hours a week for business purposes. And here's the thing, when she came back, her business didn't crumble. In fact, she rebuilt it stronger than ever. She returned with The Martha Stewart Show. She launched partnerships with major retailers and later created that wildly and crazy successful show with Snoop Dogg. She had to learn to delegate, to trust others, and to focus only on what truly mattered. Sometimes the universe will force us to learn what we refuse to teach ourselves. A client of mine was running a really successful online fitness business. She was making great money, but she was answering client messages at all hours, jumping on calls whenever someone needed her, saying yes to every collaboration opportunity, and designing her own Instagram graphics, managing her own email campaigns, and doing her own bookkeeping. Emma wasn't building a business. She was building a very expensive job with no boss, terrible working conditions, and a severe case of decision fatigue. So here's what changed everything for her. She created office hours and hired a virtual assistant for just 10 hours a week. It's not radical, I know, but she set specific times when she was available for client communication. She outsourced her graphics and her email management, and she started saying no to more opportunities that didn't align with her goals. The result? Her clients respected her more, not less. Her business became more profitable because she was focusing on high value activities instead of those £10 per hour tasks. And she remembered why she loved what she did. Boundaries aren't about being difficult, they're about being professional. Delegation isn't about losing control, it's about gaining freedom. Your business should enhance your life, not consume it. And your time should be spent on CEO level activities, not tasks that you could hire someone to do for less than your hourly rate. This takes us on to point number 4. The fourth thing you need to give up is the myth of a perfect work life balance. Now, I can hear you gasping from all the way over here, but stay with me because the problem isn't that you want balance, it's that you're trying to force a traditional 9 to 5 structure onto an entrepreneurial life and then beating yourself up when it doesn't work. You're telling yourself that you should completely switch off at 6 p.m. You should never check your emails on weekends, and you should maintain perfect separation between work and life. Then you feel guilty when you have a brilliant business idea whilst pushing your kids on the swings, or when you need to take a call during family time because your biggest client is in crisis. And here's what I see happening: you're either in 100% work mode, i.e., neglecting everything else, or 100% life mode, where you're feeling guilty about not working, with nothing in between. You've created this sort of all or nothing mentality that's making you miserable. But what if I told you that the most successful entrepreneurs don't have work life balance? They have a work life integration. So instead of fighting against your natural energy patterns and trying to fit into someone else's schedule, what if you designed a business that worked with your actual life? Maybe you're a morning person who does their best creative work at 5 a.m. whilst the house is quiet. Maybe you're someone who needs a long lunch break to go for a walk and think. And maybe you work brilliantly in focused sprints rather than 8-hour days. I learnt this lesson when I tried to force myself into traditional working hours, and I felt constantly behind. I was checking emails during dinner because I wasn't allowed to work in the evening. But I was also my most creative at 7 p.m. I was fighting against my natural rhythms instead of designing around them. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to balance work and life like they were opposing forces and just started integrating them. Some days I work longer because I'm in flow, and some days I finish at 2 p.m. because my daughter has a school play or, something like that. Some weeks I'm more focused on business and others on family adventures. The key is intentionality. Your business should flex around your life, not force your life into a rigid box. And that might mean working unconventional hours, taking calls during the school pickup, or having your best business conversations whilst walking the dog. Stop apologizing for being an entrepreneur. Stop trying to fit into someone else's definition of balance. Start creating a life where work and personal time can coexist without constant guilt or stress. Because the goal isn't perfect separation, it's intentional integration that allows you to be fully present wherever you are, whenever you choose to be there. This is the joy of being an entrepreneur, right? It's that we can control our time. But as soon as we start becoming successful, we strip ourselves of it. But here's the critical element here, it's not about being so stressed all the time that you feel you can't switch off when you want to. It's the exact opposite of that. It's being able to dictate your own working routine to suit you in every aspect of your life with zero stress and zero guilt and zero pressure to conform. So start paying attention to your mind and body. As I said, if you're a morning person, go for it. I love to give myself space to recharge in the middle of the day. So I'll often take a 2 hour lunch break, longer if needed, and I'll go for a walk or I'll do some journaling or reading. Or sometimes I'll just have a Netflix binge and then I'll do some more on the evening after my daughter goes to bed. And I have zero guilt about that because it's what makes me deliver the best quality attention instead of forced concentration when I think I should be working. It's your business. Like, do what you want to do and what will work best for you. And the fifth and final thing you need to give up to be happy is setting purely financial goals without the emotional foundation to support them. I want to hit six figures is not a goal, it's a number without meaning. I want to hit six figures so I can take Fridays off to spend with my children. I want to book that family holiday to Italy without having to check my bank balance. And I want to invest in that business coach who will help me scale without burning out. Now, that is a goal with an emotional weight. Here's what I see happening with five-figure business owners, they're chasing numbers without understanding why those numbers matter. They want six figures because it sounds impressive and they've seen it on Instagram, not because they've connected that achievement to their actual life goals. This reminds me of Oprah's biggest business failure. In 1998, she released a film called Beloved, and she put everything into that project, expecting it to be her big splash into Hollywood. But when her agent called her the next day after opening night to tell her that it was already a flop, she was devastated. And she said it actually triggered her into a long plunge of food and depression. But here's what's brilliant about Oprah's response. She didn't just chase another financial target. Instead, she sat back and asked herself what she actually wanted from her work. The answer wasn't just money, it was a meaningful connection, authentic storytelling, and the ability to help other people transform their lives. And that clarity led to creation of Own Network, her partnership with Weight Watchers, and later her media empire that is worth billions today. I used to be guilty of this too. I'd set revenue targets and hit them, and then just immediately set a higher one without ever asking myself what I actually wanted from my business. I was successful on paper, but felt empty in reality. And the breakthrough came when I shifted from how can I make more money to how can I create more freedom. When I connected my financial goals to my lifestyle goals, everything changed. Because instead of working harder to hit arbitrary numbers, I started working smarter to create specific outcomes that I wanted to work 4 days a week. So I focused on higher value offers rather than more clients. I wanted to take month-long holidays without my business falling apart. So I built the systems and the processes that could run without me. And now it's your turn. What do you actually want your six-figure business to give you? Is it more time with your family? Is it the ability to say no to work that you don't love? Is it financial security, adventure, legacy? If you connect your money goals to your life goals, and you'll find the motivation to make the hard decisions that actually move you forward. As Oprah learned from her failure in Beloved, sometimes our biggest setbacks teach us what we're really after. For her, it wasn't a Hollywood success, it was authentic impact. So, what is your version of authentic impact? Okay, now let's recap the 5 things you need to give up in your business to be happy. 1, trying to be everything to everyone, everywhere. Remember, pick your lane, put your platform, and then own both of them. Number 2, underpricing yourself. Charge what you're worth, not what you think people will pay. 3, having no boundaries and doing everything yourself. Create systems and delegate those £10 per hour tasks. Number 4, the myth of the work-life balance. Embrace intentional work-life integration instead. And 5, setting purely financial goals. Connect your money goals to your life goals. Now, and here's what I want you to understand. You are already successful. You've built something from nothing, right? You've created income, impact, and independence. But the question isn't whether you can succeed, because you already have. The question is whether you can succeed sustainably. Scaling to 6 figures isn't about working harder or doing more. It's about doing less, but doing it better. It's about making strategic decisions that align with your values, not just your bank balance. You don't need more strategies, more platforms, or more hours in the day. You need the courage to say no to the things that don't serve you. You need to say yes to the things that do. Your business should be a vehicle for the life that you want to create, not a prison that keeps you from living it. And that is all for today's episode of The Simplified CEO. So if this resonated with you, I would love to hear which of these 5 things you're going to tackle first. Send me a message on Instagram. It's cs_Bartlett and let me know. And until next time, remember that you are not just building a business, you're building a life. So make sure it's one you actually want to live. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you are ready to make your life simpler, then don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Xero, the accounting software that is ready to supercharge your business by automating routine tasks, giving you quick access to your financial data, and helping you get paid up to twice as fast using their online invoice payments. So if you are ready for a simpler way to keep on top of your bookkeeping, go check out Xero today. Get their special offer using the link in the show notes below.